You know what? You've all seen the clip from Thursday between Stephen A. and LeBron James, so we don't have to revisit that. This reminds me of the Chris Rock and Will Smith incident where Chris Rock made a not-so-tasteful joke about Smith's wife Jada Pinkett Smith and proceeded to walk on stage and slap Rock in one of the most stunning moments in television, or at least award show history. LeBron James confronting Stephen A. Smith courtside during their win over the Knicks, to me, was familiar territory. A guy that has had many successes but has been met with some ridicule from different figures, and although genuinely praised, gets called out at times because of a family member. Remember, Will Smith was basically squeaky clean for most of his career, but when those red table talks, or whatever they were called, started sparking some not so flattering images of Will Smith, to the point you felt, even as an outsider, the frustration and inner struggle bubbling up. But a squeaky clean guy like Will couldn't just vent peacefully. It was a hit to his manhood, and like most of us men, his ego. So with LeBron, he's not universally loved like maybe Will was, or we could say is, but he's been seen as the model NBA athlete since he arrived as the chosen one. A kid that came from nothing, focused on the game of basketball, became a savant, and took over as the face of the league when you have greats like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and Kobe Bryant with monumental careers ahead of you. He married his high school sweetheart, showed himself as a loving father and family man. No scandals, no crazy gambling stories, no interesting nights in Colorado. He's been pretty void of any outside negativity. A lot of us fans just weren't as fond of him on the court. Enter his son, Bronny James, a solid basketball player in his own right, but unfortunately not blessed with some of the tangibles and intangibles of his father, which is par for the course. There's very few all-time greats that have spawned other all-time greats, mainly because they have the unfortunate task of living up to that great, but also playing in a new era with new rules and different ways to play. Like any other father, LeBron championed his child, which as parents, we all do. While the world can see their flaws, we as parents don't see them as flaws, but correctable habits. He hyped his son up, and in doing so, like media and us in general like to do, we didn't compare him to his contemporaries, we compared him to his dad, which is why we saw the scene we saw Thursday night. You see, there's a reason second-generation players like Kenyon Martin Jr., Scottie Pippen Jr., Tim Hardaway Jr., etc. aren't placed in such a huge magnified microscope. Their days were long before their kids emerged, and of course they're not LeBron James. LeBron is still playing, still stacking up milestones, and he's doing it on probably the most polarizing franchise in NBA history, the LA Lakers, a team and fan base that doesn't enjoy the process. They feel privileged enough that they can bypass the process. We've seen some down years, but if any team can bounce back without a full rebuild, it's the Lakers. So let's circle this back to the reason for this video. Will Smith didn't appreciate Chris Rock doing his job because it hit close to home. We've all been to comedy shows and had comedians point you out and do crowd work on you or people with you, and while you just have to kind of grin and bear it, it's a part of the show. It's a part of the act, and we are there to laugh, sometimes at the expense of others, but that's the risk taken when attending the event because you know that the comedian is there to tell jokes and make us laugh. Will Smith missed the memo momentarily and put a blemish on an otherwise solid career. LeBron James, especially after his take on the media not too long ago, is walking a slippery slope. Even with my son, I recall a game during their season this year where he was by far the best player on the court for his team for that particular game, and he unfortunately fouled out. I had to listen to people in the stands chant things, wave him off the court, tell him to get off the court, etc. Did I like it? Absolutely not, and as his father, it made my blood boil. Did I go tell a group of fans to stop being fans for their school because that was my son? Nope. We kept it moving because I've always heard if they're talking about you, you have to be doing something right. But do guys like Rob Parker, Rick Bucher, Skip Bayless, Max Kellerman, wherever he may be, have to watch what they say while actually doing their job, to not risk the same interaction if they happen to come see a Laker game? The same was said when Will Smith did what he did. Do comedians have to censor themselves for the sake of their own protection? And I get it. You're always a parent first. I'm sure he knew that this could come with this pairing that he wanted so bad. But knowing and being prepared are two different things. Bronny is an unfortunate casualty of LeBron's love-hate standing with the media and his father's legacy. He doesn't get the benefit of naturally growing into an NBA player because, as we've seen, he's not an NBA level player yet. But LeBron, the parent, I'm assuming, thinks so. And much like Eddie Murphy playing the mother in The Nutty Professor when it came to her child, or in that instance, grandchild, they are their biggest fan. You remember her clapping Hercules. We think our children can conquer any and everything, and as a parent, if we don't or didn't, then you're a breed I haven't seen much of. And I said this on here before. I said the hardest part of this season wouldn't be the basketball aspect for LeBron, but rather having to hear the naysayers and negativity and criticism of his son's game, and to know when to hop into parent mode and if he could turn that off. The answer is, you have to. You might be the face of the league, but you're not the end-all and be-all of the NBA. You can't bully journalists into talking or not talking about a subject because it hits close to home. You lost that privilege as soon as your son put that Laker hat on at the draft and was declared an NBA player. If this were a personal matter and Stephen A spoke on it, okay, maybe. If this was something that was outside of basketball and was no one's business, sure. But if it's involving the game of basketball, and especially the NBA, your parent shield has to be tucked away, and you have to be prepared to take the good with the bad. Case in point, if you don't like the way I'm flipping burgers, you have two choices. You can either accept how I flip them, or you cannot come back. In the case of Stephen A., if LeBron doesn't like what he's saying, what does Kendrick Lamar say? Turn the TV off. Unless you're going to pay that man's salary and give him a script of what to say, we already know you do this for Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp, but if you want to add more to the payroll, hook Stephen A up or let the man do his job. Your son is a professional athlete and an NBA player. And even in your journey, LeBron, I recall a time when you told your mother to sit her you-know-what down when she was trying to shield you. I guess in your household, it's do as I say, not as I do. Let Bronny continue to grow and focus on basketball, LeBron. You're too good at it to let this overshadow that. And with that said, I appreciate you guys listening. If you enjoyed, please hit the channel with a like and subscribe, and come back for more content. Thank you.